everybody, good evening, good day, g'day, wherever you are all around the world. Thanks for watching. It's Megan here from Valley View Living. If you're new, we are a family in New South Wales, Australia, raising our 6 kids out here in the country. We are pretty obsessed with growing food, with eating food, with cooking food, all about the food and the livestock and the farm and the gardening. So at the moment, I'm just going to start this cool, blustery spring day with a bit of a mishmash breakfast. With 8 of us to feed, sometimes it can feel like that, a couple of different meals going on at once. And one of the meals that is pretty popular, especially on a cold morning, is some cheese melted on sourdough toast, of course, with plenty of butter as well. You know me. I think I'm getting the label as the butter woman, that crazy 15-stick butter woman, which I'm absolutely happy to carry the title of. So very happy and proud. But anyway, one of my kiddos also asked if she could have one of the burger patties on top of her melted cheese toast sourdough. And who am I to say no, right? That sounds pretty good to me. But I'm just going to have a burger patty and a fried egg, which is my go-to if I don't have something more involved planned. I can have this done and cooked in 10 minutes or less, surely. And at the moment, of course, our freezer is stocked with beef mince. That was what we mostly chose to have our last steer processed, as he was our second steer processed here on the farm. And so we had a little more experience and expectations around how we would use the meat in the best way possible. And that turned out that having a whole lot of beef mince is just the most flexible, simplest way for me to make sure I can get that beef used every day. And I say every day, and I think literally we probably do eat red meat almost every day of the week, which obviously just makes sense for our situation, seeing that that's the animals that we can raise really easily on our farm and we access easily here in, inland Australia. There's lots of cattle farms around us, and it's a great thing we can access quite simply. Something I love about beef mince is that I don't have to be prepared to just pull it out of the freezer and leave it on the bench during the day so that I can whip up some kind of meal. One of my favorite spring surprises this season is how many daisies are popping up through the lawn area of our property. And it's been such a joy to just walk around and see these beautiful little yellow flowers popping up naturally in so many spots throughout the property. We still don't have many bees visiting, and I know there is an issue with declining bee population, but they are just such a little joy to see in the green grass.
Hi everyone, it's Megan from Valley View Living. We've had a bit of a busy week this week, so sorry I haven't been around much. I haven't been able to film anything, but today is a home day, catching up on things, eating well, because for the past week while we've been busy out and about away from the house, it's basically impossible to get homemade meals done. I've been chatting to some of you about investing in a slow cooker or an instant pot so that when I'm not home, we can have something to come home to that's homemade and really healthy and still good for us. So I think I really have to look at that. But today we have started with, look, this is just my easy go-to for myself, and some of my kids like it too. It's just a fried up burger patty with a fried egg. And after I have that, I feel ready for things. Now I've also got a brisket ready that I've just put spices all over, put some water and veggies in the bottom of, and I've put that in the oven to slow cook. I don't think it's going to be ready for lunch. It's about 9:30, probably thinking it's going to be more like 6 hours instead of 3. So maybe that'll be dinner tonight. And then for lunch, we've actually got this amazing locally caught smoked fish that a friend traded us for some of our beef. Just a second. So I'm going to take that smoked fish and turn it into like a Thai fish cake just by taking the... I think they're playing. We'll see. Just by taking the smoked fish and mixing it with like a curry paste and frying it up. And I don't know what I'll serve with that. If I've got salad, maybe I'll do that. Something like that. So those are the meals for today. And then we're also getting our property ready for friends to visit, which is awesome. They'll be camping here for a few days. So I want to make it, you know, just kind of guest friendly. We have a very lived in house with 6 kids and we're here so often. And obviously they're our friends. So they like us the way that we are. But I do want it to be, you know, put together and ready and comfortable for them to use as well. So we're going to work on that today. And I thought I'd show you how our chicks are growing, and that's about it. So let's get some things done. Okay, so I did get a couple more things done in the garden over the past week. One thing that's super exciting is I planted a little rock melon mound. So I've never tried to grow any melons, but I bought some organic rock melon seeds from the Diggers Club, and all I did was mattock up a hole in my garden, making a mess everywhere here. We're not aesthetic. And I have planted a few seeds. Now, from what I understand, they're going to grow like a vine, like a pumpkin basically. So they're just in a mound in the ground. I'll show you. And over the next couple of weeks, I'll see how the vine goes, hey? We'll see how it develops. So this is it. It's right next to my little tiny potato patch, which I've also got an update on. I'm going to show you in a minute. This is where I'm hoping my rock melons will come out in a couple of weeks, and we'll just let it spread. I'll trail it maybe along here or up here or maybe behind me. Got a little bit of space. It's got plenty of sun. And I just don't like wasting sunny patches that are fenced off and perfect for growing. So we're going to see how that goes. I have allowed some of these beautiful poppies to stay in the garden just because, of course, they are popular. Can you imagine what it's like to hang out with me? With the bees. See, they got a nice bit of pollen there. Got some dandies coming up there. So we're going to I'm just going to leave that little patch of poppies there. Obviously it's beautiful and the bees love it. I haven't put anything in this little spot because what I should have done is extended my garlic bed over further. So what have I got here? I don't know, maybe only 20 head of garlic or something, but they're coming up nicely and I've got high hopes that they'll turn out. And my big rosemary, this is very established rosemary bush, which the bees also love. So it's just got a permanent place in the corner of my garden. So here's a curry plant, which I don't really know how to use. It does smell amazing. I guess I have to research using that as a herb, but it's probably good for pest control anyway. It's got such a strong scent. Massive thyme bush taking over this corner, which is great. Thyme is an amazing decongestant and it grows so well here. It's wonderful for teas and cooking. Now here, I put some herbs in here. It's starting to come up. It was either dill or coriander. So we're going to find out what that is. And this is our version of blood and bone. If a chook or something dies of old age, they get buried in the veggie patch and we will let them be underneath everything for a season, and then we'll plant on top of them a season later, as you can see. So that is a really wonderful way to nourish your veggie beds as well, as long as the animal, you know, died of natural causes and whatnot, probably even if it didn't. But anyway, here is some lettuce coming up as well, which was a bit of a mistake. I don't know if I'm going to be able to manage lettuce in my garden bed because of the slug and snail population. We'll see. This beautiful rhubarb in the corner. Look at that, it's just going to seed naturally. I'll have to keep an eye on it. Maybe I can harvest some of the seeds, but then rhubarb keeps coming back every year, doesn't it? So I don't actually know how a rhubarb crown works. I'm just going to leave it here, take care of it, probably feed it a little, and we'll see what happens next year. Now, from one of my last videos, you would have seen that I realized that kale is the ultimate apocalypse food. So we have got last season's kale. Hello, sweetheart. So these are last season's kale going to seed. Of course, it's lovely and warm right here on the south coast of New South Wales right now. But I have gone ahead and bought a whole bunch of locally grown kale seedlings and pop them here. Now this whole bed up to the edge, up to the lemongrass, is going to be kale Hopefully that's my plan. Over here I've just put in kale seeds. So I also bought a different variety of kale from the Diggers Club. We've got the local seedlings here, and then I think I've got like it might be a curly blue kale. And then maybe later for successive planting, I'm going to do like a black kale, you know, like a Cavolo Nero, I think it's called. Just that Tuscan black kale. So this bed will be kale, my apocalypse insurance. Lemon balm, she's not looking that happy, to be honest. Does it die off? It's getting a bit brownish here, so we'll find out. There's random spring onions and or leeks planted all around the veggie bed, which I'm just leaving, of course. Now this one we've just filled with a lovely broken down cow manure, which is a real benefit of being surrounded by dairy farms. So we've gone and got some poop, and I've put this through, and because it is so well rotted down, I have planted directly into it. I don't have an issue with that. That should be fine. And I've put in a whole bunch of the cherry tomatoes, the tomato tomatoes, which we've grown before and loved them. And I just love the way that they come up as a bush. No sort of pressure of a huge harvest at once. You just come out and pick off little cherry tomatoes every day for your lunch, for your dinner, for your salads. So that's all planted. This bed's done. All tomatoes up this way, and we'll see how that goes. And there should not be a cat sitting in my garden, of course. We have a bay tree here, which is well established, and I really do have to use the bay more often because bay is just such a beautiful flavour. Really underrated. Also in all stocks and whatnot. This is the bed I haven't cleared out yet, and I'll tell you why. Look at this. Excuse me, darling. Oh, that's right. It's got asparagus growing in it. We've already harvested a couple of beautiful asparagus, fried them off and eaten them with a fried egg. But there's asparagus crowns in here that are well established, and lucky us to have asparagus just popping up now and then. It is so fun to harvest because it's like a little surprise hunt. You come out and see the new ones that have come up overnight. But I don't know how far the asparagus extends here. I actually found one well over here. That's an old asparagus from last season. So the asparagus crowns are all through this bed, and for that reason I don't want to mattick it up and disturb it too much. Seriously, Ollie, this is not your toilet. So if you have any advice for me on how to manage this, I guess just hand weeding the forest and then taking care of what we've got, which is the little asparagus fronds coming up. I'm not really quite sure what to do. What do you do with the asparagus? It's going to come up. Do I have to let some self-seed? Can I pick it all? Please explain asparagus to me if you have any experience. But because of that, I'm just going to allow this bed to set, and if asparagus comes up, we will harvest it. I'll know where I'm standing probably in a month or so when the season ends and it gets too hot for asparagus. So we'll go from there. And over here is, this is the traditional kale. That's last season's, that's finishing up. And then we've got our spring onions from last season as well, which we just cut and come again with. But the carrot seeds that our homeschool friend gave or traded to us are coming up beautifully. So they actually did germinate really quickly too. So the ones that I've purchased from the shop have taken 2 to 3 weeks. These were popping up a week later, and they're probably a bit too small to see, but we've got plenty of rows coming up through the whole bed. So this is our carrot bed. I'm just going to extend that right up here to these spring onions. I think they're good companion plants, onions and carrots. So that's going to be carrots all through here. And I mean, we're not going to have enough carrots to harvest and keep. It's going to be something that my kids can come out and pick fresh carrots and just eat them as a snack. That's how much this will be. And that's it. We're back to the rosemary. So that's what I've got going with my garden plans. Of course, I'm going to have a space here when the garlic is harvested. So hit me with any ideas that I can plant straight after garlic. Would be awesome. And maybe what I should do here, I actually think it lends itself to a herb bed, moving on from the thyme. So other herbs that grow well through the summer. Hey, maybe some basil? What do you think? I could have tomatoes over here. Don't mind all the junk, of course. And basil here, that could work. Now I'm going to show you my plan for our onion and potato bed. This is fireweed. It's a declared pest here in New South Wales, and it spreads all through your pasture and all through your garden, and it's toxic to certain wildlife. So I'm just trying to pull it out at the roots as much as I can see it, and that's where I'm at with that. It's a pain. Okay, now I'll try to show you this area. If you can see the star pickets here, and they go extend out here, and there's the solar panel at the back, and then they go over here in front of the water tank. This is going to be my onion and potato bed. So right down the middle, I'll do onions on one side and potatoes on the other side. This is my plan. Hey, if onions and potatoes hate each other, jump on and let me know. I am a beginner, as you know, but I was really inspired watching, what's their channel? More Than Farmers, right? If you are into homesteading and all that kind of thing, I'm sure you're very familiar with them. And I was really inspired by them talking about how keeping those kinds of crops that are really easy to cure and keep all year just really cuts down what you buy for a big family. So yes, what we're going to do, and why there is the electric fence unit there, is we're going to run our pigs here to just root up all that grass, take it down to bare soil, and then I'm going to, I don't know, walk through and mattic up any clumps that I need to get rid of and turn that into a potato and onion area. Will I get this done this season so that I can plant this spring? I don't know. Fingers crossed, hopes and a prayer. I really don't know. Every day obviously has new things to do, so we'll see. But these are our plans, and if we don't get it done this season, we will definitely get it done next season. And this is why working in tandem with animals is so super helpful. I'll just take you around the boundary. So it's down here, you can see we got the star pickets set up, and we've got the first electric hot wire set up. We'll also do a second one here, and we've got that running through to these other star pickets right up to the edge under the old apple tree. But you can see that this area is very sunny and open, and I'm hoping that is very useful for growing crops. I don't want to waste it all as lawn that I have to mow and maintain. So we've got our portable electric fence unit, which is an amazing investment if you're running any kind of small property and you have animals. So it goes all the way around. We have got that set up, and fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Look, I'm crossing my fingers. Can you cross your fingers for me as well? Because this is going to be a lot of work. I'll take you down to see the chookies. They are right here. Now, these girls had an evening visit a couple of days ago, and we grabbed them one by one and we trimmed their flight feathers, because these tricky ladies have been flying out of the chicken coop and going off to make their own nest somewhere else. And look, I'm not going to be buying organic chicken feed or any quality chicken feed, so they have to be laying their eggs. So we came and did a little visit, trimmed their feathers, and hey, hopefully we go back to 4 eggs a day or thereabouts, between 2 and 4 eggs a day. So Barnavelda araucana, say araucana, Barnavelda.
So one of our local friends here, one of the members of our local homeschool community, regularly catches some wild salmon, so wild Australian salmon. I'm not that clued up on our local fish species and how all of that works. I have spent a little bit of time as a fisherwoman, but very casually, just doing it for a bit of fun, never really aiming to feed my family or anything like that. But this friend of ours is really into the fishing, does that regularly to supplement their family's food, and you can see the impressive size of this wild Australian salmon. Now, I don't know if he catches those in the rivers or in the ocean around here, but then they take them home and they home smoke them as well. So that's the beautiful color on the fish skin that's been smoked at home. That's a whole smoked fish. Now, we have been trading some of our home-raised beef for these fish, which is a wonderful way for us to get some fish into our diet because, of course, we all know that it is a very healthy food to eat, although, of course, it is rife with all kinds of issues, as looking at eating most kinds of food seems to be these days. But if we're looking at a wild-caught Aussie fish, I'm pretty happy to include that in our diet as often as we can. Now, I've never really found a great way to purchase fish outside of the supermarkets. I'm sure there are amazing fishmongers throughout Australia. I've just never really formed a relationship with one or gotten to know one. So we tend to just buy whatever is wild-caught at Coles or Woolies randomly if it came in fresh on the day that we're shopping, which means it's not a regular in our diet because it's too hard to time that and to know when we can purchase it. And the thing is also that we need to cook that fish on the day that we get it, fresh fish. So I just find it tricky sometimes to include in our diet. However, this smoked fish is working really well for us because it's more shelf stable, of course. Not shelf stable, fridge stable, so that I can keep it in the fridge for a few days until we are ready to use it in a meal, which makes it more convenient for me. Now, the way that I'm using it is in a way to mask the flavor a little bit. And I'm just doing that because for some of my kids, the flavor of fish, especially smoked fish, can be a bit overwhelming, but they are used to having spices. Now, the curry paste that I'm using it can be a little spicy. It's not that hot, but when I am going to mix it through all this smoked fish, I'm also adding in some brown rice flour and 2 eggs, and that's it. It actually just sort of is super tasty. It's not spicy so that it's bothering little kids' palates, and it's not a very strong flavor anymore. So this is a really good way that it masks that for my kids, and hopefully as time goes on they'll actually get to appreciate the flavor of the smoked fish so that we can just have it as is, because honestly just having that smoked fish on the side of maybe some boiled potatoes with a bit of mayonnaise, that would be really amazing. But this dish is basically Thai fish cakes, and I am just using a curry paste out of a tin. I quite like that brand. It's cheap, easy, and has good ingredients as listed on the tin anyway. And it's super simple to just whip this together. As you can see, all I had to do was mix that. Now, because I've used my hands a lot in this process, that way I am very careful to check for bones throughout. So you sort of get that triple check to make sure you've gotten all the bones out of the mixture. And then I'm just going to shallow fry these in coconut oil so they get that really beautiful crispy bite on the outside that we know with the Thai fish cake. And it actually is a super simple process. It really takes no time at all to shallow fry these. I would say 2 minutes per side and they are done. You could also add anything you like to this mixture that will taste good. If it were me making it for more of an adult palate, I would probably be adding more fresh herbs and spices, fresh sliced chili, definitely some spring onion out of the garden, garlic, ginger, all those kinds of things. You could just amp up the flavor on these so that they are supercharged and of course so nutritious. After I had made all of these sweet little fish nuggets. There was a good serve left as well after the kids had all had a couple each, and I had a few, and my husband. We still had a little serve left. I think it's still in the fridge today, so what I'll probably do is just reheat those and have them for my lunch or even breakfast. They are such a handy little snack to have and a great way to pack that fishy goodness into our diets. Now, I would love to continue this smoked fish trade ongoing, so if you have any ideas for me to turn smoked white fish into a family-friendly meal, then please let me know, because I would love to try different varieties of ways for us to make sure we are utilizing this really good resource for our family here. And who knows, maybe we will get into fishing ourselves. I guess it is a wonderful way to supplement your diet. I know that wild caught fish here, when I'm looking at it in the supermarket, is often up around $35, $40 a kilo. My family can eat a kilo, of course. So again, it's one of these proteins that are super nutrient dense, but super expensive and rough on the grocery budget. So maybe we'll invest the time in learning how to fish and catch this ourselves, but also this is why I love to embrace community sufficiency rather than self-sufficiency, because we cannot do all the things that ourselves. So our friends live somewhere where they can't raise their own beef, and it is a wonderful thing for our families to trade our skills and the things that help our environment in this way. So I don't feel like I need to get into doing all this for ourselves. And this is just one of the reasons why we really value getting to know our local community, but also giving, as well as taking lots of swaps and all that kind of thing. So to keep this super simple for lunch, I have just put on a pot of rice. We've got a very easy, simple chopped salad from what I had in the fridge. I've got some lemon wedges there to squeeze over the fish cakes. Now, there was one thing truly missing from that plate, and that is some kind of really tasty Asian dipping sauce. But you know what? In a pinch as well, mayonnaise would be so good on these. So next time, I would love to look up a recipe for some kind of traditional yummy dipping sauce, but on this day I just didn't have the energy to go and make something else as well.
So these are the first chickens that we incubated. They would be 5 weeks old, I think. Maybe 6 weeks, a month and a half. These were purebred Rhode Island Reds that I bought through Gumtree and had a seller send to me in the mail. So this is our little 6-week-old chicken. I have no idea yet if this is a rooster or a hen. We have 11 of them, which isn't an amazing turnout from 24 eggs. And this is why I think buying fertile eggs locally or raising your own from your own chickens and roosters is superior. Because having them posted is stress on the eggs and the incubation is just not as high as you would like. But this is how they're looking. I'm so glad with the quality of the stock though. They look fantastic, strong and healthy. They are eating so much right now. In a couple of months' time, we're going to have roosters for the pot and we're going to have hens starting to lay eggs, probably around 5 months. So yeah, incubating is a wonderful cost-effective way to grow your flock, that's for sure.
I kind of got you humping.
And then it's water. Oh, did you make me a present?
Yeah.
Aw. Oh, thank you, darling. Oh, it's such a pretty little purse.
She did look humping.
So I'm just going to show you our newest little chicks that are indoors. This is our inner lounge room in our original farmhouse. So it's got the original slate flooring. That's what's so dark in here. But I'm just going to show you the latest chicks that we incubated, and we did that directly after hatching the last ones. So these guys will be about a month behind. They'll be maybe 2 weeks old now. Now these fertile eggs were free because they were, we collected them from our own chicks and chickens and rooster, but that does mean some of them are crossbred. Some of them will be purebred Barnevelder, and some of them will be an Araucana cross, or what is our other chicken? A Sussex cross with Barnevelder. So this hatch rate was so much better with these little peepers. We got, I think there's 12 in here from like 18 eggs. So fresh eggs work really well. Hello, cheepers. So you can see, this is chicks, these cute fluffy little ones that are about 2 weeks old. But they're not like fragile and tiny anymore. They're starting to look interested in the world around them. They actually don't need heat anymore during the day. So we can turn off, what we've got here is just like a heat lamp, you know, a professional brooding heat lamp built into this box. And yeah, we can turn that off during the day now and just keep the heat on at night. Whoa, 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 see, look, trying to explore the world already. And in a couple of weeks' time, you'll see they'll be feathered up, just like the outside ones. They'll be starting to grow feathers, and we'll have to rotate them around somehow so that there's space for our developing chickens outside and for these new babies. And I'm considering running the incubator again, so we'll see how we go.
You're feeding.
Yeah, cheeping the little cheepies. Don't grab, just pat. That's it. Good job. Isn't she cute? Or he. Could be a he.
So it's been a big day gardening. We've taken you for a garden tour. I've introduced you to all of our chicks that we've got incubating at the moment, which is exciting. I'm so happy to get those projects going here on our little farm. And the rest of the day we've spent just cleaning and organizing, decluttering, putting things away, getting ready for some visitors to come for a few days this week. So it's time to pull this slow cooked brisket out of the oven. I'm just going to use those pan juices and the veggies as a very simple gravy to pour over the top. I have just restocked on this sourdough pasta. We are loving this pasta. It is tasty, it is yummy, but also it seems to be very gut friendly and tolerated well by all members of the family. So that makes it very worth the investment. I also find that we are eating less of it. It is much more filling than the other brands of pasta I've been purchasing in the past. So I'm happy to have that one as part of our meals. So I'm just going to slice up the brisket and serve some of the sourdough macaroni on the side. And then we have another salad. We're a little low on veggies at the moment. I think our veggie box is coming in the next day or two. So we're finishing off all the salady stuff that we have in the fridge. And of course, here I go again with the butter. Look, I just can't help myself. I'm addicted to the stuff. And that's probably being passed down to my children as well. So it's a good thing that we own a dairy cow or two. Yes, I would love to learn to make my own butter if we are ever collecting the kind of milk volume that we would need to skim the cream off the top and then churn that into butter. That is absolutely a dream of mine for sure. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do love to have your company here as I go about homemaking, homesteading, getting the things done when I can. And if you've enjoyed this content, please do like or comment or subscribe. And that way you'll know when I release another video, which I'm hoping to get done in the next couple of days here for you. Okay, see you later. Bye.